It's been said that laughter is the best medicine, but how does that apply to the healing in religion? That's our topic on today's Austin Faith Dialogue. Stay with us.
Austin Faith Dialogue, at the crossroads of religion and life, a series highlighting the cultural and social interactions between the worshiping and religious communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KXAN. Join us now in Austin Faith Dialogue.
Welcome to Austin Faith Dialogue. I'm Richard Thompson of Austin Metropolitan Ministries, welcoming you to a very special edition of our show. Because today we're looking at the subject of saving humor, how we find in relation to person's faith the indispensable element of laughter that is transformed from sadness by what we might call the alchemy of humor. And to help us in appreciating this, we have as our guest a humorist and a performer, Steve Behrman. And we're delighted to have you, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
I noticed that the organization that you have is called Lightheaded
Productions. We're headed to the light, and we are a little lightheaded.
I see. That's L-I-T-E.
L-I-T-E.
Right.
Sort of like Bud and Miller, those guys.
Okay. And what have you been doing, and how have you been doing it, and why are you doing it?
Good question. That's a lot of material there. I've been performing humor primarily as a character called Swami Beyondananda, who you'll meet later on, for the last 10 years. And humor was something that was always in my life. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. As I say, I spent my deformative years there.
I see.
And for some reason, there's something funny about Brooklyn. I mean, it used to be you'd see movies and somebody would mention the name. And I think there's some kind of osmosis that you pick up comedy just by growing up there.
That's maybe part of your survival kit there, too.
Absolutely. In fact, humor, I grew up in a housing project in a rather difficult neighborhood. And a few years ago, I was in California, and I was in a health food store, and there was a book there that said, "Running can save your life." I said, huh, I knew that when I was 8.
Right.
So between the running and the humor, I did pretty well.
Yeah.
Getting away survived.
Right. Okay. Well, you've been doing a particular act, I understand, that will be meeting the person that you have been taking with you.
Yes, my multiple personality.
Okay. And by the way, what's the name of?
Swami Beyondananda. He's the yogi from Muskogee.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to having him on the show a little later.
Yeah, he's in the bag. He's very close by.
But isn't it something that you've been doing, like not only in what you might call secular settings, but in religious settings as well?
Yes, in fact, I'm often asked to do Sunday morning sermons, believe it or not. It's kind of unusual, but I do that. I'd say probably a dozen Sundays out of the year I'm giving sermons. I'm also talking to other religious groups, and I think it's because the main thrust behind the humor that I have is that it be heart-opening, but also helping free the mind from limiting beliefs and so on. And that's the alchemy that I see in humor. It has the power to open the heart. There's a great story, true story that I heard. Something that happened during the Cuban Missile Crisis. There were some American and Soviet delegates. They were meeting to discuss trade issues, and when news of the missile crisis hit, everything stopped. Tremendous tension in the room. And finally, one of the Soviet delegates raised his hand. He said, "I suggest that we each go around and tell a joke." And he volunteered to start. And his joke was, what's the difference between capitalism and communism? In capitalism, man exploits man. In communism, it's the other way around. And so everybody left, and they were able to continue their business because the tension was broken by a joke that didn't put one group or the other down, but essentially celebrated what we have in common. And that's the power that humor has to open the heart.
Well, now, one of the things, too, I recall the book by Norman Cousins called The Anatomy of an Illness.
Yes.
And that he had this loathsome disease that he was suffering at the then Soviet Union. And they kind of given up on him. And so he asked to have movies in his hospital room of, I think it was the Marx Brothers.
Marx Brothers movies and candid camera reruns. That was his dosage.
So, I mean, he was operating on the assumption that laughter is the best medicine.
And you know what happened? They actually, since that time, have done studies on the physiological benefits of laughter. Now, between you and me, it's kind of weird that we have to do scientific studies to prove that laughter is good for you.
Yeah.
But in fact, they've proved that laughter enhances the immune system, and laughter can lower the blood pressure because it causes the blood vessels to dilate, which I think is better than having them die early. I prefer mine dilate.
I think you've been thinking about this before.
Yeah, I've actually thought about that. In fact, I have a whole map of the human digestive system. And we have been given this digestive system to break down ideas without swallowing them whole. Humor, along with opening the heart, humor really helps us think better.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Because it helps us reflect on our actions. It gives us perspective. There's another story that I use, and I use this incidentally when I'm doing my Sunday morning lectures. And this involves a little town in West Texas. And in this little town, many years ago, the local madam came to the minister and said, "Reverend, I want to donate everything I have to your church." He said, "Well, ma'am, I need to think about it. Come back tomorrow." And she came back the next day, and he had thought about it. He says, "I'm sorry, can't accept your offer." And she left. And one of the church members who's listening to this whole thing comes up to the minister and says, "Reverend, we need a new church building. Why did you turn down her generous offer?" And the minister said, "Because her money is tainted money." And the guy looked at him and said, "What do you mean her money? It's our money."
Okay.
A little added perspective.
All right. So you've got also, I think, the notion that religion and humor seem to be the opposite. I mean, a lot of people's mind, you need to be serious, you know, solemn. The wedding service is called the solemnization of wedding vows, as if there wasn't going to be a lot of laughter coming later. But I wonder if, you know, that's really a stereotype that doesn't do anybody a service, because there's the phrase saving humor, that somehow, as you say, it broke the ice in that one setting, that in a church situation, it can help relationships develop. And I've noted in my ministry over the years that it's not a matter of trying to be a stand-up comedian. It's just realizing that every situation's got its absurdities.
Yes.
And somehow religion seems to have maybe more than its share of absurdities.
Well, I think one of the problems is that people tend to project all of this solemnity and rectitude on people who've taken that path. And what happens is they expect the minister, the clergy person, to be above reproach. And so consequently, everybody is looking to be on their best behavior, and that's when humor shows up. Yeah. Because the universe does have a sense of humor.
And this enables people to be themselves and not have to put up a false front. And I also think that you've got good biblical basis. You know, Psalm 2 says, "And the Lord was in heaven and laughs." And Isaac, the son of Abraham and Sarah, the name literally means God laughs, God's mirth.
Wow.
And that because, I mean, here was a guy 100 years old and his wife about the same age, and they were going to have a baby. And of course she chortled. And I just think and Jesus had a great sense of humor, although that's oftentimes overlooked. I mean, like he said, why do you criticize? I mean, take a speck out of your brother's eye when you got a 2x4 in your own.
Right.
So, I mean, I think you help remind us of that.
Yeah, and I think that people need to see part of what humor does is it makes the shadow parts of ourselves, which we all have, it makes that part lovable. It allows us to, it gives us a way to look at the parts of ourselves that we would prefer to not have, but we all do have. And one of the reasons why jokes about priests and nuns and rabbis and ministers are funny is because we expect them to be above reproach. We're not supposed to see their shadow sides.
Up on a pedestal. Yeah, humor reveals the fact that they got feet of clay.
And in the ancient traditions, in the tradition of the court jester, the jester was allowed to say anything to the king.
All right.
That was part of the deal.
By the way,
without losing his head.
I need to tell you that you've hurt my feelings already.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I'm
because
sorry.
I've been wearing this stole and you haven't said anything.
See, I'm used to, the world looks like that to me, and so.
I see. This is serious business for you, but
yes.
I would appreciate if we could get a little bit of a close-up over here, because what you just said, you see that little, there you got it.
Oh, that's excellent.
There's your little clown. Your court gesture, you reminded me of that in the Bible you have it said that, you know, we were meant to be fools for Christ. Mm-hmm. And so I got this, by the way, from a fellow out in Oakland, Berkeley. It's the Pacific School of Religion, a fellow named Doug Adams, who wrote a book on humor in the Bible. And he was at a conference, and he was selling these stoles. And it's most liturgically incorrect, you see. I never was able to wear this the regular service, but I thought this program was perfect.
I think you get away with it right here with this audience.
Yeah. Look it down here. It says zoo. And why do we go to the zoo? Except, you know.
See reflections of ourselves.
Yeah.
Have animals laugh at us, probably, for
Other
their
primates.
entertainment.
Did you hear about the guy at the zoo who saw the gorilla inside, and he had a Bible in one hand, and he had Darwin's Origin of Species in the other, and he said, "Am I my keeper's brother?" I'll bet you heard it.
Not in a while.
Okay.
See, I believe, you know, there are people who say that a lot of the Swami's humor, some of it is recycled, because he doesn't like people just tossing these lines away and wasting them. So I think there's a way of recycling humor. It's very environmentally correct.
Yeah.
So you've recycled a joke.
Thank you very much. Well, tell me about, before the Swami comes on here, a little bit about when you do your shtick, and do you get people kind of a little offended that you're going after sacred cows?
Well, you know, actually, I think there's a difference between butchering sacred cows and milking them. Oh, and I think the Swami milks the sacred cow to kind of get the essence, get that juice out of it, little different perspective. Generally, people are not offended by the Swami. Now, I guess I don't particularly generally play audiences where I think people are going to take offense. But usually, Swami is an insider. He's not an outsider. In fact, one of the things that Swami says is that life is a joke, but God is laughing with us, not at us.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of an insider, and he's coming at it as somebody who has explored in that realm and wants us to look at the naturally humorous things that occur.
What grows out of life.
Yeah, and the situations of life are generally humorous. You know, I'm going to say something which may sound like blasphemy, but...
Can I just ask you to hold that just for a bit?
Okay.
Because we are coming right up on a break here, and it could be that Swami could share something of that with us when he comes on in the second half.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right. Stay with us on this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi there. We're back on Austin Faith Dialogue, where today we're contemplating saving humor, the relationship between laughter and our life of faith, and we are being joined here by one that we talked about in the first half, and here he is in person, Swami Beyondananda, the yogi from Muskogee.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I see.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to have you here. We've been hearing about you, and now to see you in person, it's just a delight. And tell us, sir, about you're coming to our presence here, and you're bringing us a message of some kind. What is your message, sir?
Well, I have a very simple message. Drive your karma, curb your dogma.
Okay, I will try to remember that.
And what I will expand on. You see, I'm a fundamentalist.
Oh, okay.
I believe the fun should always come before the mental.
Okay.
And it is the purpose of us fundamentalists to bring about non-judgment day.
Uh-huh.
That's when everybody wins beauty contests.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that
Everybody
nice?
wins,
Yes.
huh? All right. It's like having a happy unbirthday every day, sort of.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, now, you are a Swami. You lead religious rites. What do you do?
Well, two wrongs don't make a right, but I often make a right.
Okay.
I hope to make things right.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I travel all over the place, and I don't have any followers.
You don't?
No, I get very paranoid when I think I'm being followed.
Uh-huh.
Yes, stop following me. That's my slogan.
All right. And so you're not out to build a big mass following?
No. I believe guru. We take the word guru. Think about guru. G-U-R-U.
Right.
G-U-R-U.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so you don't need me.
Just be yourself.
Be yourself.
Okay, I'll take that with me.
See, I believe that minorities should be represented, and I am a minority, believe me.
Uh-huh.
In fact, each of us is a minority. There's only one of you, and there's only one of me.
Okay.
When we're gone, that's it. We're extinct.
Really?
Yes.
Well, what about the afterlife?
What about the afterlife? Well, you know, I've thought about the afterlife quite a bit, but you know, we may be in different forms by that time. See, I believe in reincarnation. I don't know if you do.
Okay.
Because I think that God is a recycler,
Okay.
and I think that we go around many times. Yes. So we have several more turns to go.
Okay.
In whatever we want to be.
Well, now, I have to say, you remind me of somebody I've seen on television.
Is that right?
Yes, so PBS, there's a fellow that is doing a good bit of, you know, about your positive mental attitude and so on, and your...
oh, you mean Deepak Chopra?
That's the one.
Oh,
right.
Deepak.
Yes.
Deepak. I think he has a lot of good things to say, definitely. Maybe he says it a little bit like I do.
I see.
But, you know, speaking about Deepak, I think it's very interesting. The name Tupac, there's been two incidents with Tupac. There was Tupac Shakur, and there's Tupac Amaru group. Remember them? They were the ones that took the hostages.
Okay.
And they both, unfortunately, did not do very well. And I'm thinking that the name is very important.
Okay.
Because if you spell Tupac backwards, you know what you have?
No.
Kaput.
Okay. I'll try to remember that.
I think there's very significance and great significance in names. For example, there was a woman who could not stay in a relationship because of her name.
Yes.
Her name was Frida Knight. Some guy asked her, "Are you Frida Knight?" She says, "Yes." Couldn't stay in a relationship.
Okay.
And you know Cecil B. DeMille, right?
Yes, I do.
Well, his daughter could never quite live up to his great reputation because of her name.
Yes.
She was Rana DeMille.
Ah, yes.
And that she was condemned to be ordinary just by her name.
That would have hurt her self-image, I would think.
I think so.
Right.
So
kind of
be
like
careful.
I'm a hog.
That I've heard about that.
Yeah.
That was a real person. Was she really?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think she was necessarily that way, but she was the daughter of a governor of the state of Texas.
Yeah. So she came from a long line of hogs.
Right. You got it.
I think his name was Feral Hog, wasn't it?
Well, we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
And come back to the fact that you appear in churches and various religious groups. I mean, how do you?
Yes. Being a Swami, I'm on the celibate path.
Okay.
I try to celibate everywhere I go.
Okay.
So that's why I make the rounds.
Uh-huh.
And I really talk about humor. I talk about the human gestive system.
Gestive?
The gestive system.
Digestive system.
No, this gestive.
Oh, okay.
Because I think a lot of people suffer from irregular hilarity.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I mean?
All right.
And maybe this could lead to humoroids.
Okay.
Might even lead to truth decay.
I feel like I'm just setting you up just for one idea after
Or
another.
maybe I am setting you up. We don't know.
Right,
This could be a big puzzle.
Uh-huh.
But no, I believe that we need a good laxative twice a day.
Okay.
And it's very important that we use the power that we have to laugh.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me about this. Let's talk about religion and humor and standpoint. I've heard, for instance, that you don't have to be Jewish to be funny, but it helps.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, those folks had to go through a lot of suffering, and they had to,
Yes.
kind of like Abraham Lincoln said, if I couldn't laugh, I would just, you know, kind of wither up and die.
No, Abraham Lincoln was a very powerful spiritual teacher through humor. He was once challenged to a duel. This is a true story. He was challenged to a duel, and his opponent, who was very angry at him, said, "You can choose the weapons." He said, "How about cow dung at 5 feet?" And the duel never took place.
Sure. That will get away with dueling pretty quickly, I
Yes,
think.
exactly.
Yeah. But tell me about your appearance before have you ever been to a Presbyterian church?
Well, you know, actually, I've come very close. I've come very close to that. I was at one of these Elvis worshiping services. I was at a Presbyterian service.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, yes. And actually, I was very impressed with this religion. It's one of those new light religions.
Yes.
Same satisfying flavor, 1/3 the commandments.
Okay.
And Elvis asks only 3 things of us. Number 1, love me tender.
Okay.
Number 2, don't be cruel.
Okay.
And number 3, please surrender.
All right.
So I became a Presbyterian right on the spot. And they also guarantee eternal life. Because old Presbyterians never die.
Yes.
They just return to sender.
Okay. You're talking about the king now.
Well, that king anyway,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't gone so far as to become an Elvis's witness, though.
Tell us about what you recommend to folks to reduce their stress.
Reducing the stress. Well, actually, living is stressful, as you may know. And but one of the things they can do, you see, a lot of people think on the job. And when you think on the job, thought particles get caught between the ears like this.
Okay.
This causes a condition called truth decay.
Okay.
So, there's a very easy meditation you can do every day. Look in the mirror, mental floss, like this.
Okay. All right.
You're sitting in traffic, nothing to do. And you'll feel these old thoughts clearing out.
I see.
And you'll prevent truth decay. That's good for stress. And a lot of people in this culture, I'm afraid, they suffer from what I call the Sinatra syndrome.
And what's that?
A doobie-doobie-doo imbalance. Too much doing, not enough being. So they have a B deficiency.
I see.
So they need to relax more. They need to do, a lot of people recommend fasting. I recommend slowing.
Aha.
Yes, very, very powerful practice. In fact, I also recommend doing aerobics.
All right.
So you sit around your robe and don't do anything. It's very, very relaxing.
All right. I've heard a Zen Buddhist say, don't just do something, stand there.
That's exactly what I say.
Is that what you're trying to get at?
That's right, because nothing is powerful. Now, I want to show you something.
Oh, okay.
I brought something with me, if you can take a look at this. This is the most powerful enlightenment tool, right over here.
There we go, right here, I think.
Okay, yes, nothing is everywhere. No, this is because no matter what your problem is, nothing will help.
Okay.
So I've put nothing in a box right here.
The box says absolutely nothing.
Yes, yes.
And that's what you are marketing that?
Well, I have nothing to sell.
Okay.
Yes. And you know, actually, a woman came out to me recently. She said, "Swami, nothing satisfies my husband." I said, "Great, buy him some. He'll be very easily satisfied."
Do you know the difference between nothing and no thing?
Well, I think that's the same thing.
Is that it?
Nothing and no thing are the same thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I've heard that God is no thing, but he's not nothing.
Right. Well, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Nothing is the space that creation happens, because that's what we start out with.
Okay.
So this is a very creative product.
What about diet?
What about diet? Well, now I bet you think because I'm a Swami,
Yes.
I'm a vegetarian.
Right.
You're wrong.
Oh.
I am a humanitarian. I eat people.
Are we talking about cannibalism here?
Well, no, we are talking about, you've heard the saying, you are what you eat?
Yes.
Think about it.
All right.
Are you trying to achieve rutabaga consciousness? No. No, I believe we must eat only the most evolved beings on the planet, and we take on. I have a new program called Swallow the Leader, and we have donor cards, just in case you...
I think you've got a leader complex of some sort. You don't want people following you, and
No.
you want to swallow them. I mean, it's...
Oh, well, that's right. No, leaders get swallowed, you see. That's the thing.
I see.
Swallow the leader.
Swallow the leader. All right.
That's it. Yeah, I think we need fewer leaders and more individual people taking charge of their own lives.
Well, tell me about this. What do you see as the you know, here we are in the West. You're obviously
well, we're
from
at
the
least
East.
in the Southwest anyway.
Well, or the Southwest.
Yes.
And you bring in your religion apparently from the East.
Yes.
And you see that we Americans are all uptight, and we've got a lot of stress, and we've got acid indigestion and all of that. And so you're bringing us this message of peace. How do you find peace?
Well, I have a peace mantra. You see, you know how it is with being peaceful? It starts with your thoughts.
Yes.
And you have to think peaceful thoughts. And then you have to have only words of peace pass your lips. That's just not easy, because there can be frustration in life, right?
All right.
So whenever you're confronted with frustration and you want to shout something out, you must remember that only peace gets to pass your lips. And you do this mantra. You go, peace on it. And you'll feel better, guaranteed.
All right. Well, I think that we'll let that pass just for now.
Yes, as we all do.
And in the final minute or two that we've got, tell us a little bit about what your predictions are.
Predictions. Well, you know.
You remind me a little bit. Johnny Carson used to have somebody on that could, you know.
He took the answers and gave you the questions.
Yeah, right.
Well, I can take the questions and twist them into answers. No, actually, you know, it's very interesting. I've been very reluctant to make predictions because I don't want to lose my nonprofit status.
Oh, I see.
However, since I'm not being paid for this, I can get away with profiteering. I will not be profiteering because I will not be paid to make a prediction.
Okay.
So actually, I predict that in the very near future, we will all be developing our ability to see beyond, our psychic abilities. And I predict in the near future that there will be a department store where everybody working there will be psychic.
Really?
Yeah, it'll be called Sears.
Okay.
And when you come in, they already have what you want ready for you. And if you want to get a credit card, they don't check your credit, they check your future credit.
Okay. All right. Well, you are these predictions. We'll just have to wait around to see if they come true.
Yes. And by the way, the purpose of prediction is prevention. You know, why do we make prophecies? To prevent those things from happening. So I can tell you that so far I've been 100% successful in that nothing that I've predicted has actually ever happened.
All right. Well, we'll take some solace from that. We'll also take note of the fact that the fellow we had in the first half of the show, Steve Behrman.
Yes.
If people would like to get a hold of him, that he's in Burnett.
That's right.
And to get a hold of him is to get a hold of you. Is that right?
That's right. Actually, it's half of him, half of me. It's a whole of something.
All right. Well,
hologram.
Thank you very much, Swami.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks, for looking in, and be with us on our next edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. I'm Richard Thompson, and peace be with you.